Today we've come to beautiful Littlehampton Beach on the south coast, and the plan is to shoot some very long exposures. There are a few things that highlight the magic of photography more than a long exposure. When we stretch out our shutter speeds to several seconds or even minutes, any motion is recorded as beautiful silky blur. Take seas for example. Photographed normally, choppy seas are full of detail. There are all the dips and the ridges, the foaming waves, the debris. But a longer shutter speed transforms all those busy, distracting details into a silky, smooth surface. To achieve this effect, beside our camera, a tripod and a cable release, we also need a strong neutral density filter. This set of format high-tech ND filters ranges from 6 stops to 10 stops, 13 stops and a whopping 16 stops. The strength you need will depend on the ambient light and your exposure choices. When shooting really long exposures, it's a good idea to approach things methodically, as there are several key steps. Here's my method. The first stage is to find an interesting composition and a likely subject. We need a combination of movement and stillness in the scene, so look for standout details against moving water or clouds, like a single post, a rock, a pier or a walkway. Once you settle on a composition, it's time to get the tripod out. We need the camera to stay still here for entire minutes, so use the sturdiest, most bulky tripod you can. Next, before attaching our ND filters, we'd first take a test shot, and at this point you might consider attaching a polarizing filter. The Format High-Tech folder has its own custom polarizing filter that can fit within the adapter ring that screws onto the front of the lens. Polarizers can be very useful for long exposure photography. Not only do they darken down blue skies, creating greater contrast with the clouds, they also block around 2 stops of light, which will let you slow your shutter speed down even more. Now for our test shot. I'm in aperture priority mode here with f11 and ISO 100. After focusing, we switch to manual focus to lock it in place. If the test shot looks good, we note the shutter speed down. Here it's 1/60th of a second. Now it's time to attach our ND filter, and I'm using the 13 stop filter here, which is good for daytime shooting. It fits snugly into the holder, then we fit the covers to prevent light leaking through to the lens. Light leaks are the enemy of long exposure photography, as any light seeping into the camera will fog the exposure. So it's important to use a set with tight seals like the Firecrest ND set here from Format High-Tech. And as well as the filter, another leakage point is the open viewfinder, so be sure to block it up, either with a dedicated cover or failing that, a piece of black tape. Now we need to work out a shutter speed. The ND filter here blocks 13 stops of light, so we double the shutter speed 13 times. Now that's a lot of maths, so to make life easier we can use an exposure calculator like the one I have here on my phone, which is inside the PhotoPills app. We input our initial test shot settings and then select the strength of the ND filter and calculate the resulting shutter speed, which comes out here at 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Now DSLRs max out at 30-second exposures. Anything above this needs to be done in bulb mode. When in bulb, the shutter stays open as long as the shutter button is depressed. However, we don't want to be holding the shutter button down, as this will disturb the camera, so a cable release is a must, or you can use a trigger trap release like the one I have here. This connects to my phone, and then I can use the Trigger Trap app to set a timed bulb exposure for the exact amount of time that I need. Now all I have to do is wait. 2 minutes 17 seconds later, we've captured our long exposure seascape, and a little time spent in Photoshop or Lightroom results in a moody black and white conversion, which suits scenes like this to a T. On a shoot like this, you're likely to come away with just a handful of shots, but each one is carefully crafted with a combination of camera skills, the right gear, and plenty of patience.